Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is William Vincent Carlton, and this is a special podcast for specifically the folks of the Cardano community that voted for me to be part of Fund 8 Catalyst and receive funding so that I could express my writing in a way that would bring people to the Cardano community. Do I feel I have accomplished that? I'd say it's in progress. It all comes down to whether or not people still read, and I still don't know the answer to that question fully. I wish I weren't joking and serious at the same time. It's one of those things where I do it because I love it so much. I read and I write because I love it so much. There is something to be said about the imagination when it is untethered and left to explore worlds, galaxies, off-world species, however far you want to take your science fiction. Same thing with nonfiction as far as the detail that you can go in describing something objectively. You're allowed to explore all of these extremes. And if you were to look at it as an alien arriving on this planet, it would just look like a bunch of marks on paper. Maybe, perhaps, who knows? It could be just some form of energy to some advanced species, right? Where this energy is being received because there's a vibration to everything, including the typewritten page, including our words, including our heartbeat. Everything has a specific frequency that it resonates with. And so when we perceive something as being together, that's really what it is. It's frequency that is working in unison in order to make it seem and appear and feel through your senses as real. This construct is absolutely, it's so beautiful. And it's worth celebrating. Not worth being miserable while you're here. And so I'm saying all of these things because I don't think I've ever been a good employee. And what I mean by that is I've always been a good worker. As far as being the gung-ho employee that's all about company morale and things like that, I would be more apt to support it if I hadn't gone through certain instances in life that were difficult in the workplace. To where now I feel like happiness is writing and telling stories and narrating, doing what I'm doing now, in a way. That to me feels most natural now. And that just happens to be aligned with a lot of beautiful things happening at the same time. So tonight, this was just a few minutes ago, at 11:04, say it like a birth. Yeah, it's kind of like that. At 11:04 p.m. this evening, Eastern Standard Time in New England, a 4-part series was born. 4 miniature books. No, they're real books. They're about 120 to 135 pages, depending. They're real books written in the vein of science fiction and about to be offered first and foremost to the Cardano community in the form of a thank you. To say, please read this, please read the books. I hope you enjoy them. This time I'm going to put them in a Google Drive. I understand that that works better for the community. See, I'm learning. I can be taught. So I want all of the pages, once they're scanned, to be available to everyone in a PDF file. It will be substantial. I don't know how big it's going to be, but I know this manuscript is over 500 pages. So it's going to be pretty big. We'll see how it breaks down. And I say all of this because you can expect there's going to be a little delay in terms of the deliverables when it comes to getting this book in its scanned typewritten form. That's going to be the first version that you receive, which I would argue is the coolest, because you get to see everything written in its first attempt. There are no repeated pages, no edits. And if I'm ever doing what you would see or consider as an edit and say, hey, well, what is this? It's me being on the same page. I don't consider it edits. If I'm on the same page, like I haven't put that page down and I'm on the next one and I see something that doesn't look good and it stands out, then I may go into that with the typewriter, line it up and punch in whatever I have to, But that's very rare. And I would say that's maybe once in every 500 pages I'll do that. It's that uncommon. So all of these pages, they're all being written in the first attempt, the first try, And it's important to understand that. This book was written in one take. This series was written in one take. There were no repeated pages, nothing crumpled. What you see is what you get when it was written. And I think there's something very beautiful and exciting and emotional about that I think is worth sharing. So if you find yourself looking at this and perhaps there's a word spelled wrong, or you see something that could be better format-wise, try to remind yourself that you're being shown the dailies of a writer, and that it's likely you're not going to find this anywhere else. No writer would dare no polished writer. What I'm saying is no writer that's been published with an editor that takes care of the fine tuning would ever get caught doing this. They would never place themselves in this position to be caught with your pants down, because that's the only way that these pages are going to flow. You can see a couple things that I would mention that stand out, that are important to keep in mind when reading this book or when reading this series. One, there were no pages ever repeated. Out of all the 500 plus pages, not a single one was repeated. So I repeated that. The other thing to keep in mind is the chapter names and the names of the books were not thought out. They're spontaneous. They come out. And from that comes the dialogue and all of the material, the inner workings of the book. So the chapter names aren't thought of after the chapter is done. Okay, I go back to the first page and I left some blank space for myself. No, that title was written out and then the scene or whatever it is. So it's important to note that as this is spontaneously done, if you think of it in that way as you're reading, you may notice there are some things that stand out as anomalies, like they don't really make sense in terms of story timeline or even in the way that they make you feel. It's going to be generating a feeling more than anything else. And that is why I've just given you a static image to look at this evening. It works better for this type of dialogue because you can focus on a drisdi, this type of point in space, whether it's in the space there or you could be looking at the landscape in the background. Or you could be looking at the time of day or what's going on, how much detail is on this screen, how much can you figure out. But you're out there doing your own exploration. And that's the way that the written page works. And it's done in such a beautiful way that you don't even realize you're exploring things, but you are. You're exploring your imagination as you advance through the page. The only way you would advance through the writing is if you had a clear enough image to where you felt satisfied enough to continue. And sometimes the writer screws up and cannot keep that image static or at least present enough to be able to continue through until there's the next dramatic change. And that is when a team is absolutely invaluable. And I will not deny it. A lot of my purpose has to do with one take, no edits, no repeats, just raw writing. And I'm proud of that. However, I say this as a big however. The value of a team is so immense, and the value of collaboration with others is so important. And it's really what propels this type of potential energy into the stratosphere where it belongs. This is something very special. You know, if people don't recognize it now, then they most likely will later. Because it's not an easy thing to break a record when it comes to writing books. And a lot of folks have said that I just didn't publish them. And so now I have to prove myself, you know, because I didn't do it enough last year. And I never wanted it to be about the record anyway. But now I have to prove myself. So what does this say about life? Perhaps it's preparing me for these types of things, where I may make a claim that seems pretty difficult to believe, and I'm going to have to back it. These are good lessons. And I don't want to get it wrong for the sake of my children. I want to prove it right for them so they can understand that I never lied to them, that I was doing all of these things for them. Every single book. One way or another, they're going to outlive me, and they're going to inherit these things, and I want them to have them. I want them to have something that will hopefully age really well with time, like a fine wine. Every book. And every time I write, I take less chances in that I know I'm enjoying myself. I can just let it go and just enjoy the production of a book. And for me, it's just a very fast production, and it's enjoyable to do it that way. I like to be left in suspense as much as the reader. I imagine the reader would be left in suspense. And I like to enjoy this as close as I can to the reader. I don't get to enjoy it directly with the reader, though I'm thinking there may be a way to do that in the future. And that's something I want to explore. Once again, I need a team, you know? People that believe in the idea that we could do this in a format that's live theater. What I'm creating right now is, in effect, a book. It has no script. I'm not reading. I'm not doing any sight reading. There's no teleprompter. The teleprompter is just puking out words from my subconscious. That's all it is. And now I need a drink of water. It's just words being puked out of my subconscious. There's no filter. There's no net. It just kind of lands on you. That's it. That's the best way for me to describe where I am right now. I don't have any fear of getting the words wrong or slipping, making a mistake. If it happens, it's for a reason. It will be tied in later at some point and be funny. Or whatever it needs to be. It's that type of confidence that allows you to step out of the way and just enjoy this as if it were a performance. Because it is. Life is a performance. Life is performing before you at all times, and life is also generating infinite repeats within you. Well, what the hell does that mean? I'm saying the cellular structures of your body, the cellular structure is constantly rebuilding itself and constantly rejuvenating itself. That's an incredible thing. It sustains you. Makes you feel like you're solid. It's that consistent. And so if you have these regenerative properties within yourself, then why not embrace them? At what point did we feel there was some barrier in the way that prevented us from accessing something beyond what we experience through our senses? And the answer to that comes when you look in the mirror and you recognize that you've said to yourself for too many days in a row, too many mornings and nights, as you're coming and going in the monotonous life, that you're unhappy. And that you would only wish to change. You would only wish to change your life for the sake of a change in perspective. Well, The good news is even just a deep breath or a pause is enough for you to have an altered state of consciousness. And as this recording right here is designed to be a message to the Cardano Foundation of voters, it's to also tell you in a way, or leave you with a preface to this pretty substantially large book, which they are loosely tied together, the 4 novels. They definitely run in a linear fashion or semi-linear fashion. It's speculative fiction, so there are some elements that may be perceived as real or happening in this moment, or perhaps in the media. And any coincidences that you find are exactly that. This is fiction. So it's important for you to keep that in mind. And what I've been doing in Ada's Place is writing some pretty controversial stuff. And I pushed the boundaries for the sake of trying to see if the audience is still alive, if there's still this desire to have a dialogue between men and women. And I wondered if we could actually have a dialogue and see if it would work. Well, it turns out it worked. At least I got the response. It was the highest amount of readership I had ever had since being on the platform. And the virality should have been huge. And I should show you the charts. It's really alarming. At the same time, sad yet revealing. Day 1, 400 click-throughs, and the most reads I ever had. I think could have been around reads. I could be thinking reads right now. It was around 400. It was crazy. The most I had before then was maybe 220 in a day. We're talking someone clicks through into one of my articles and reads it from beginning to end. That would be considered a read, okay? So in this article that I put out that was highly controversial, and I had titled it so as it would be controversial, Women You Know Nothing About Men. And the subtitle was something to the effect, and I am not reading it verbatim right now, it was something to the effect of, and if you had asked us, you never listened, you're only listening to yourself. Something to that effect. It was pretty fucking rude. And I say pretty fucking rude because I wasn't getting anyone to read my other articles. You know? And when you've got a community that wishes to support you, they're not putting money into your life for the sake of seeing you fail. They don't want to see you fail. And so I thought about that, and I realized that I should probably push the boundaries now or never. And I did. Got a ton of response first day. Second day, that response was carved sharply in half. And then the next day, back to the same old reads and views I've had for about a month and a half since writing some other controversial things. I mean, it's within 10 to 20 reads, 30 reads per day. And keep in mind, 2 months ago, I was generating on average between 150 to 200 reads in a day. That was like with maybe 200 to 300 followers. Now I have over 600 followers, so I've doubled that. And my readership has dropped to about a quarter of what it was. Someone explain that math to me. Someone explain how that isn't pass interference. You know? So, you put an article, like myself, I put an article out there saying, Women You Know Nothing About Men, and suddenly all of the views and reads can't be blocked. There's just too many. I was looking and comparing it to the statistics that are offered through another plugin, which shows you the accurate statistics versus the ones that are being done as a result of, I guess this is called a shadow ban, right? I would assume that this is a shadow ban by Medium. That's kind of, that's dangerous territory, I would say, because the user is paying for the experience. Even though it says in the agreement that shadow banning can occur, the user's paying for the experience. And I'm sure that users did not vote for this to be a feature, for individuals to be shadow banned. If they ever voted for it to be a feature, I'd love to see the vote and find out what was happening and what came of the vote. I'm sure that it never went to vote. See, these are the things that cryptocurrency and blockchain can fix, just so you know. And it will be fixed. Cardano is going to lead the charge with this. And that's the message. If you look at markets and you're looking at the charts, keep an eye on Cardano and its total market value. It's just a bunch of people with a dream. They wish to be treated with respect. It doesn't happen all the time. All the same, everyone keeps on trudging and they keep on moving. So as you look out into the distance here, in this image, and you listen to my voice, know that there has been a journey in this last month. It has been inspired by the community of Cardano, and it has left me with something I now can share with you. So it's 4 books, and they're done, and it's a big stack of pages. They're all typewritten, and they're all beautiful. And I wanted to read just a little something to you. I'll read you a page or two. I'm just going to grab a random page. We'll see how this goes. Got a random page here. And once I'm done with this page, then I'm going to end the stream and post this up on Medium so everyone knows that I fulfilled my obligation. It wasn't in the way that I had promised it per se, exactly. However, it was a promise there would be something every day. And now I want you to read through all these pages. If you see a date's missing, it was a day that I posted on Medium so that you know you got something every single day. And when I was on the typewriter, I think with the exception of one day, I had at least 10 pages of production. So I made sure that it counted and that you got a lot of good stuff, a lot of goodies. All right, here's a page. This is page 74 from the first book because this is from May 16th. This was at 8:21 in the morning. This begins here. I always defeat my enemy. I do it with richness of respect, but I win. I win every time I am presented with a blank page. I start my stamp of approval, and then I proceed, and everything falls nice and neatly in a line and keeps on doing this over and over until it becomes like a dream. You could just get lost in the sound and the way the rows get filled and planted with fresh new seed. Each symbol plays a part, from the print to the space between. Yes, my space is my friend, as much as it is my enemy. This blank space, this blank page, and I must learn to get along. As we keep our friends close and our enemies closer, there is just enough spacing for the air to flow through, and from there we have a view of the horizon so plain, yet so beautiful, that it could easily become anything you want. There really is no limit. There is no more wall in a cave with a fire. Here we have a dome with 360-degree views for you to do all you wish. There are no restrictions, and our haptics are quite good. What's your haptics rating on the AIM? We have a solid 4.9 with 1 million reviews. How have I not heard of you? You were using wrong channels. Okay, and now I'm here? Yes, you are. So now we're completely getting along at a distance that is right. Well, that's a page 74 from the first book. And if I remember correctly, what's going on there, I don't know. That sounded so fancy when I think what was going on was, I don't know. Yeah, I think what's happening here, someone gets to visit someone that's higher up in the Heart Corporation. This is book 1. I just wrapped book 4, so I'm racking my memory, but what was just read from page 74 has to do with some girl finds her way into the Heart Corporation main building, and she's not supposed to be there, but she finds her way in anyway, and she's now under questioning, I believe, by Jonathan Hart. He is involved in these books, so if folks are wondering if Jonathan Hart is going to make a return, he does. Though it is short-lived, he's not really in it for much. It could be speculated that he is a narrator at times. It's possible he could be. And when I mention Jonathan Hart, I'm talking about a character who's in just about all of the novels that I write. Just about all of them. He's a pivotal character when it comes to when things are shifting into the world of the digital. Jonathan Hart is there, and he's believed to be this off-world species. Some character that represents an off-world species. Anyway, that's science fiction for you. Anywhere you want to go, anything you want to do. It was a beautiful day. I drew some tarot cards, got some great signs that came through. Beautiful answers to the questions that I had. And I just want to share this with you, the basic gist of this story that exists for everyone. If you're willing to have it, if you want to have this story exist for you, I'm offering it to you now, as well as the story of the tarot today. So please receive the story if you'd like to read it, and please receive this reading if you would like to receive assistance in some way from energy. That's all it is. Everything is energy. You receive assistance from energy when you take food and you put it in your mouth, you chew it, you swallow it. The body says, oh, this is energy. We know how to handle it. It understands the magic of changing an energy bar into your human body so that you can build your muscle. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about magic, right? Well, the tarot works in a similar way. It just works in a way that is like prediction. That's what we call divination. It's predicting the future sometimes. Sometimes it's showing you the path. I think that's usually the more accurate way to describe it. You're given a pathway that you perhaps did not see before, and now everything is linking together, and it provides you with insight so that you can combine disciplines in your life and become effectively what's called a polyglot, a person who tends to learn from a combination of many different disciplines and interests. And that's the way to learn in order to have fluidity in your expression of your passion. In my case, it is language and writing. So today was a beautiful tarot reading. There was a stream of cards that I had come out first, and I wrote 8 pages for those, dropped some gold on top of them. You just heard some gold in the background. Dropped some gold on them and reshuffled, drew 7 more cards plus 1 on the bottom of the deck. The bottom of the deck was the Fool, followed by the Ace of Cups, followed by the 4 of Swords, then the Empress, a major arcana. In the center of the reading was the 2 of Cups, followed by the Wheel of Fortune as a major arcana. Then, it's always a major arcana. Then we had the 5 of Pentacles, and finally, ending the reading, we had the 9 of Swords. Excuse me. And I have the sniffles. Not anymore. I just need water. That's better. So to give you an overview of what this reading would mean for you as a path, imagine yourself taking a leap of faith in something that you have never done before, but now you are taking that leap of faith. Imagine if you knew before you even took the leap of faith that if you had, you would be granted unlimited wishes. So you could wish as many times as you wanted as a result of taking this leap of faith. So we've now started the story. We talked about the Fool, which represents the leap of faith and the necessity to have freedom in your life. More details get added to your story. We come over, that is the portal that leads us to the beginning, where the Ace of Cups presents us with the opportunity to make our wishes come true. Anytime you're dealing with the aces, you're dealing with something that allows your wishes to come true. This is the beginning. You are creating a blueprint that will carry onward and cycle. So how do you want this to turn out, especially in the areas of love? When we're looking at the Ace of Cups, we're dealing with emotions, and we're dealing with situations that have to do with love. Loving yourself and loving others. And definitely romantic love falls into play. The big question that comes to mind next when we're looking here at the following card, there's the 4 of Swords, and I'm thinking to myself, have you had a good rest lately? How's your sleep? As I'm looking at the clock now, it's 11:51, and I want to get this posted before midnight. Time to wrap this up. Someone's coming into your life. This person's going to bring resources in the form of the Empress. Very giving, loving, beautiful energy, expansive. Has so much, doesn't matter how much he or she gives. This is a very powerful energy. This same person is going to be not only helping you financially in some way, but also becoming part of a romantic relationship with you, because these cards are back to back. And the 2 of Cups is in the center of this reading, following the Empress. This is definitely about love involving perhaps these two. Whoever is resting after some difficult times, the person who has resources, they come together as a result of being given wish fulfillment for being foolish enough to take a leap of faith. Are we getting this now? I think so. I think it's starting to become clearer, starting to come together now. And we are halfway through the reading, but you see how the picture comes together. The more you add details to this picture, the sharper it becomes in your mind. And the faster it will come into your life, the more that you add detail to it. So a pause. That was a big build. We did a lot of building right there. So let's pull it back. Deep breath. If you have any tension, just let it go. All right, let's come back to this. So you know for sure that all you have to do is choose peace in those moments when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel like things are getting too hectic, too crazy, too fast, too unnerving. Allow yourself the opportunity to take a deep breath and offer yourself peace. It is your right. You can always go there. Even in the worst case scenario, it will help you. It'll help you from having to go through those situations ever again. So remember, if at any time, you find that you may be feeling overwhelmed by emotions, feelings, the past, ruminations, glancing at the future too much, to where it no longer serves you and you feel agitated, be aware of that. So the first part of the challenge is to find yourself becoming aware that you are agitated. That in itself gains you points. Pretty cool. By becoming aware that you are agitated, you reduce the level of agitation significantly by about half. And it keeps reducing as you continue to notice that you're agitated. So you're never fully at peace so long as you're in this physical human body, but you can get really close to being out of body through meditation, which comes from the awareness of your breath, while also identifying thoughts that you're entertaining, that you're putting attention to, that you're giving the time of day and energy to entertain them. Like you invited these thoughts into your house and you're having a nice discussion or meal with them. What are these thoughts like? Are they productive? Are they fair? Are they speaking about someone who's not there? Have they even happened? Could they even be true? Unless the world was in a dystopic state at this moment in time. Most of the things that we're thinking about haven't even happened and never will. Yet we get ourselves so wrapped up in the idea of them happening that we break down our own constitution by grinding and pummeling this into our own hearts. It hurts so much that we can't hold on to it. We have to let other people know that they are also in this shitty situation with you. Is this not life? It's 11:56 p.m. I can't take any more time to do this, or I let this go beyond 12 o'clock and I let people down. Well, I came to peace with this one day because there were some days when I wanted to keep writing at this point at 11:56, and I thought to myself, damn, I haven't scanned the pages yet. I need to do it, and I need to get it up on Substack or Medium, whichever one it was at the time, before midnight. And then I stopped torturing myself about that. I stopped torturing myself about that. Because everyone takes their time. And you know, art is never truly done. I'm sure you've heard that. And it gets done when it gets done. It's like video game development. I used to love hearing video game developers say when their games were going to come out. It was, hey man, don't ask us. We get asked 1 million times a day. It'll be done when it gets done, and you'll know that way in advance because you're going to get a pre-alpha or an alpha build sent to you. It's going to get sent to your office. So just chill out. You're here on the list, man. Everything's good. It's going to get done. And I can tell you this with 100% certainty on my end. When it comes to writing, if I promise you something, it'll get done. It may not be in the exact same format that you were expecting. It may not have the twists and turns that you perhaps had predicted yourself, it may be much different than what you're used to. And that would be my hope, because I want to work a different area of the brain. I want to kind of tend to the muscles in a different way and hopefully spark the synapses in some new pathway. And that's what the tarot provides. As we come into card number 5 of the day, I wish I could show this to you, but for some reason you're just going to have to imagine looking at a circle in the sky. You've got a circle in the sky there. It kind of looks like a wheel. That is the Wheel of Fortune. It's your 5th card. It's sending a message of communications to you. Communications from some place, from some person. Some communique is trying to reach you. Well, first of all, you should know that you have the choice of being at peace right now and finding love. So I would say focus the intent of this message that's being sent to you, that it be sent in the light of love, that you see it being sent in the light of love so that it is received by you in that way. Here it is, 11:59. Let's move to the 6th card. It's the 5 of Pentacles. 2 folks that look like they're being left out in the cold, in fact, have something of great value concealed within their cloaks, and they are making way right past the last card of the night at the 9 of Swords, which many mistake as a horrible bad omen. It's anything but. It is the sign of someone who has overcome enemies greater than them, than their own power. So you have overcome more powerful opponents here, right now.